Rules are made to be broken, and Polaris breaks all the rules with the all-new Outlaw, the first high-performance ATV with independent rear suspension, Pro IRS. This unique high-performance IRS is trail-tuned to revolutionize the sport quad. Outlaw sets the trail on fire with Pro IRS, Pro steering, a 500 engine plus reverse, forged A-arms, dual rate springs, center-mounted exhaust, and premium rims and tires. Watch as we compare the Outlaw with Pro IRS to traditional straight axle quads. Traditional sport quads have a swing arm rear suspension, a straight axle with low ground clearance, a steering system with lots of bump steer, and a front suspension with a single rate spring. Outlaw takes the sport quad in a whole new direction with independent rear suspension, high ground clearance, pro steering, and a front suspension with a dual rate spring. Outlaw is powered by a high-revving 4-stroke 499cc engine. Put it all together, and you have a sport quad that's faster on the trails. Watch as we take each ATV from a dead stop through a rugged 187-foot corner. We'll run each machine 3 times for a combined average time. Watch the clock and see the speeds and times coming into and out of the corners. Into the corner, the YFZ 450's rear end comes off the ground, jarring the rider and slowing him down. Total average time through the corner, 10.98 seconds. The Honda TRX 450R hits the corner hard, bouncing down the trail. The rider has difficulty keeping the bars from ripping out of his hands. Average time through the corner, 10.34 seconds. The Raptor gets to the corner quick, then loses momentum as the A-arms scrape and polish the rocks on the course. Average corner time, 9.66 seconds. Now it's the Outlaw's turn. Breaking the rules, the Outlaw's rear wheels work independently, keeping all that power where it belongs, on the ground. The Outlaw's unique rolled Pro IRS, specifically designed for aggressive ATV riding, features a precision-engineered stabilizer bar with solid linkages and needle bearings to keep it flat in the corners. Outlaw screams through the corner as Pro IRS absorbs the hits, making any line the fastest line on the trail. Average total time, 8.81 seconds, up to 10% faster through this tight corner. Other sport ATVs that use straight axles have just over 4 inches of ground clearance. This soda can is higher than that. Every time they hit a rock or a stump, they end up losing traction and end up hopping and skipping down the trail, beating up the rider. The Outlaw's Pro IRS features dual Podium X box shocks with 10 inches of wheel travel and an incredible 11 inches of ground clearance. Pro IRS also has low unsprung weight, plus forged aluminum control arms angled 12 degrees for recessional wheel travel and a lightweight stabilizer bar. All this high-tech engineering makes Outlaw with Pro IRS faster over obstacles. Enough of this talk. Let's see it on the trail. In this test, the YFZ 450, with just 4.4 inches of ground clearance, slams into the rock, hitting the chain guard. The TRX 450R, also with 4.4 inches of ground clearance, hits the rock hard. Same goes for the Raptor 700R. The Outlaw, with 11 inches of ground clearance, easily clears big obstacles for fewer hang-ups on the trail and fewer bang-ups to the frame and suspension components. The result? Superior high-speed control, a faster ride over obstacles, and less rider fatigue. And when Outlaw is forced to slam into a trail obstacle, its thick, half-inch UHMW plastic takes the hit, protecting the rear end from damage. The Outlaw also has superior protection of the drive sprocket and disc brake. On rough uphill terrain, high-performance ATVs with traditional swing-arm rear suspensions lose speed every time a rear wheel leaves the ground. Here's a straight axle from the Yamaha YFZ 450. This is what the problem is. When one wheel hits a bump, the other comes off the ground. When the wheel is in the air, there's no traction. And without much low-end torque, getting serious low-speed traction is difficult. Outlaw is faster up rough hills, thanks to Pro IRS and plenty of low-end torque. In this test, the YFZ heads up the hill fast, but quickly loses power when the rear wheels leave the ground. For 3 uphill runs, its average total time was 11 seconds. The TRX doesn't make it up the hill, losing momentum when the chain guard high centers. Finally, on its 3rd attempt, it gets up and over. Average total time, 11.59 seconds. The Raptor 700R pushed and hopped up the hill, taking an average of 11.26 seconds. Now watch the Outlaw with Pro IRS. It keeps putting power to the ground all the way up, with plenty of low-end torque to conquer the hill and make it to the top in an average run time of 8.67 seconds, 25% faster than the other sport quads. When one wheel on competitive straight axle quads hits a rut or bump, both wheels are affected. It's something like this. On the Outlaw with Pro IRS, each rear wheel absorbs the hit independently. That takes the worry out of hitting square edge bumps, ruts, and jumps. Watch this. The Outlaw with Pro IRS straightens out off-camber launches and landings. You get a smooth landing, and you reach your true riding potential with a better ride and less fatigue. On competitive machines, as you lean into a corner or nose into the whoop, it feels like the quad is steering you instead of the other way around. That's because the wheels are forced to change direction as the suspension moves through its travel. It's called bump steer. It creates poor handling, forces you to slow down, and causes rider fatigue. Let me show you what I mean. When the front suspension is compressed on the YFZ 450, the wheels really toe in. On the Outlaw, the tires barely move, with a toe-in measuring less than 1/2 of 1 degree, even at full compression. That's because only the Polaris has the Pro steering system. Its unique geometry features computer-designed linkage, creating a strategic pivot point for the steering arms. Instead of gritting your teeth, you're nailing the throttle and losing everyone in the corners and over the whoops. Outlaw tracks through the corners with virtually no bump steer. That means superior control, easier steering, and the edge. Chain maintenance is a continuous problem with the traditional sport quads. The chain is forced to slacken and tighten as the suspension moves through its travel. This causes the chain to slap and stretch. Rollers, tension bars, and guides are used to keep the chain on the sprocket. In our test, the YFZ chain hopped off the rear sprocket because of all the rapid slapping up and down as the quad went through the bumpy corner. On the Outlaw, the chain is mounted in the center of the bike, and the IRS moves around the sprocket. There's no slap, less stretch, better chain protection, and far less chain maintenance. The Polaris Outlaw with Pro IRS. Compared to the Yamaha YFZ 450, the Honda TRX 450R, and the Raptor 700R, it's faster in the corners, faster over obstacles, with higher ground clearance. It's faster up rugged hills, hands you more control in off-camber hits and landings, and has pro steering for superior handling. In sport ATV design and engineering, nothing compares to the all-new Outlaw. Outlaw lets you ride faster. Outlaw lets you ride harder. Outlaw lets you ride longer. Outlaw is faster on the trails, completely revolutionizing the high-performance ATV.